Okay, let's get up to date now with the business news. We have in studio our business editor, Stephen Carroll. Stephen, another day of strikes for us here in France.
It does feel like we're saying that a lot recently. It's a day of general strike today being called by unions in protest against a variety of reforms being passed by the French government. In all, there are 133 demonstrations planned around the country, with the main one here in Paris this afternoon. The strike will see some schools and creches affected, as well as the postal service. The national electricity provider says that action at power plants have cut supplies by 4 gigawatts today. There are also ongoing protests at universities over education reforms. Air France had its 9th day in a series of strikes on Wednesday. That's in a dispute over pay. While the national train company, the SNCF, is on strike today for the 8th day this month. Workers there protesting against an overhaul of the state-owned train company. Now, the level of disruption has slowly been decreasing as those strikes have gone on. Today, the SNCF is planning to run a third of high-speed TGV services, 40% of regional trains. Here in the Paris region, between a third and a fifth of trains will be running on the RER network. 80% of Eurostar trains will run as a full service on the Thalys network to Belgium and to the Netherlands as well. Well, moving on, the International Monetary Fund says the world's debt pile is now bigger than it was at the height of the financial crisis. The IMF says the public and private sector need to urgently cut debt levels from the current $164 trillion. The fund singled out the United States for criticism, saying it was the only major economy not planning to reduce its debt. But there was also concern over China, whose debt rose to $25 trillion in 2016. Well, let's take a look at what's happening on the markets next for you. And we're starting with the price of oil, which is rising after reports Saudi Arabia would be happy for prices to go as high as $80 or $100 even. Brent crude, the international benchmark there, up over $73 a barrel. WTI just under $69 a barrel. So gains on both of those. That's having an impact on the stock markets, as you might imagine. Energy companies doing well out of that, or at least oil and gas companies, I should say. This is the picture at the open here in Europe. Small gains in London and in Paris. Shares in the advertising giant Publicis up almost 5% at the open in Paris after their results. Over in Asia, it was oil prices again dominating trading during the Asian markets. We've got the Shanghai Composite in the green, up about 0.5%. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong up by 0.9%, but gains across the board there as well. Let's turn to Cuba next, where its political transition is underway, but its tourism industry is also booming. The country had over 4.5 million foreign visitors last year. Georgina Robertson has the story.
Cuba is seeing a tourism boom. Commercial flights between the US and Cuba resumed for the first time in over 50 years. Airbnb entered the Cuban market. Visitors are drawn here by a post-revolution bubble and attractions like these 1950s American cars, ubiquitous on the streets of Havana.
Listen to that noise. It's one of the reasons we came to Cuba.
A 1-hour tour in the car is about 40 euros, in an economy where the average salary is less than 30 euros per month. Last year, tourism brought 2.4 billion euros to Cuba's struggling economy. But outside Havana, the tourists come to enjoy the sand, the sea, and the salsa.
It's a destination that is still fairly affordable. I've been traveling for a long time and I think you need to come now. It's going to become more expensive.
President Trump has reintroduced restrictions on American travellers, which were relaxed under President Obama. Once again, travellers are only allowed to come in heavily regulated tour groups. Despite this, Cuba remains a serious competitor for its Caribbean neighbours. Organised tours are on the up, like this one at a cigar factory, where tourists get a glimpse of the Cuban tradition. New resorts and clubs are popping up along the coast. The island is going to construct 200,000 hotel rooms in the next 10 years.
Finally for me, Netflix is making a big investment in original content in Europe. The streaming service has unveiled 10 new European projects, including the company's first Dutch production. Overall, Netflix is planning to spend around $1 billion on content this year. It'll include renewing existing series like Glow, the series about female wrestling, and also the 3rd season of Stranger Things. Now, Netflix market value hit $144 billion this week after they announced another increase in subscribers. That makes them more valuable even than IBM and General Electric, and almost as valuable as Disney.
That is pretty impressive for online streaming. Stephen Carroll, thanks a lot for that business update.